Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and wow, it feels like it's been ages since I last did a Eurovision review, but no, it's only been a couple of days. But in any case, yesterday saw the premiere of a song of the only country this year to completely replace their entry since the initial decision, announcement, whatever. Unfortunately. I'm talking, of course, about Malta, and I do have a little bit of a rant to go on about this, but it's nothing huge. I'll get it over with fairly quickly. Namely, I've seen some people delivering some utterly idiotic responses to the song. "Ooh, EBU, please kick Malta out of the contest. The people voted for Chameleon, so they should be forced to send that." Blah, blah. King blah. This isn't a scandal. This isn't a new thing. Countries are allowed to change their song before the deadline if they see fit. That clause is specifically written into the rules of Malta's national final anyway. For crying out loud, people, what is your excuse? 90% of the fandom fawned over Albania last year anyway, even though the people voted for DL in Festivali Kungas. And what about every single one of Belarus's songs, more or less, before 2014? Get over your bloody double standards just because she's sending a more chart-friendly song instead of that cheesy early 2000s bubblegum pop offering from the national final. Good grief! The Eurovision fandom disgusts me sometimes. Anyway, Malta will still be represented by Ira Losco, who, might I remind you, represented her country back in 2002, and she finished second. Her Eurovision song this year, penned by none other than Molly Pettersson-Hammar, is entitled Walk on Water. It's also been abbreviated to WOW for the purposes of this song's associated hashtag. Anyway, it's completely in English, and therefore no translation. It's almost as if every country's singing in English this year apart from one or two. So my first thoughts about this song, well, the absolute first thing that hit me when I heard this for the first time is the opening is incredibly alarming. In that department, it kind of reminds me of Norway 2013. Now, the songs don't sound remotely similar to one another by any means. It's just that the opening bars of Norway 2013 made me think that my computer had crashed for a moment. And Malta this year, well, the opening hook is a little bit not screamy, but just, it's a bit alarming compared to what you're expecting. Not in a bad way, of course, it's just a bit startling. Then again, maybe it's not part of the song. Maybe it's just the wailing from all the butthurt fans who don't like that she's sending this instead of Chameleon. In which case, I relish in your petty little anguish. Aside from that observation, I must say, this definitely sounds a lot stronger and a lot more relevant than her national final song, and frankly, I think it was a good call on Malta's part to switch to this song. But what does this song do so right that would make me say that? Well, where do we begin with these good points? For one, you can tell, just from its composition, that Molly Pettersson-Hammar did help to write this song. It sounds like one of hers. But it doesn't sacrifice its identity as an Ira Losco song in order to do that. Whereas, for example, Spain last year, it didn't sound like a Thomas Gayson song, but it didn't sound like an Adern song either. This year, it sounds like a Molly Pettersson-Hammar song, but it also still sounds like an Ira Losco song. It sounds like what it is. A Pettersson-Hammar song written for and with Ira Losco, performed by Ira Losco. And that, in itself, is something that this song can take heart in. It's performed by a recognised big name from Malta, who was, and still is, a very capable, competent live performer to such a degree that she's considered royalty within the Eurovision world. So we can be confident in the knowledge that she has the vocal power and range to deliver this song live as justly as it deserves in Stockholm. And whether people from further afield than the Eurovision world know who she is or not, she's bound to turn heads. What helps, aside from the song's generally much more modern and catchy sound than Chameleon, or the brilliant drum work for that matter, especially around the 2-minute mark, is that the song has that alarming opening noise throughout the song, which isn't quite a full hook, but it's still a recurring identifying mark of sorts. It's the walk on water noise. You know, kind of like the Inception noise. Yes, that. But for this song, rather than for a confusing film about dreams within dreams or something, I don't know, I didn't actually see it. But yeah, it's a modern, catchy song performed by a capable artist and has all the appeal and memorability needed to see it through to a respectable final result. So, yeah, good on you, Malta. But having said that, what are the bad points? And to address a load of comments I've seen across a fair few of my reviews lately, no, this isn't me attacking the song. This is me being balanced and fair, looking at both sides of the coin. Don't get butthurt just because your favourite song isn't perfect, because there's no such thing as the perfect song. Every song has good points and bad points, and I want to consider both before I draw a fair and balanced conclusion. Now sit down and shut up. So, my first and biggest problem with this one is that, especially at the drop before the first refrain, the backing music, especially around the refrains, is far, far too loud. I mention the first refrain in particular because it's so loud that you can't hear a word she's singing. You can tell that she's singing, but that's where it ends. You can't make out the individual words. At least I couldn't, anyway. And if that happens live, that's going to take away a lot of immersion and appeal from this song. Don't skip out on the audio balancing, kids. It can be a lifesaver in times like these. Aside from that, on a similarly technical level, I do worry that there are parts of the song that may be tricky to perform live, because of the tune of the notes and the distance apart from them and the speed she has to sing and a lot of technical matters. That said, this is Ira Losco we're talking about. I don't doubt that she can and will handle it without concern. It's just that if it's maybe a bad day and she misses one of the trickier notes, it might have repercussions for the rest of the song. But, I mean, she probably will be able to handle it. It's just a potential pitfall that might happen but probably won't, but it's still a thing to think about. One last thing that counts kind of as a bad point. She's Ira Losco. In itself, that isn't a problem, but I do want to reiterate what I said when I reviewed her national final song. Don't just vote for her because you like her name. Don't vote for her because you liked her last Eurovision song, or because you liked Chameleon. Don't vote for her because you like her face. Only vote for her if you like Walk on Water. This is the Eurovision Song Contest 2016, not the Eurovision Memories of Whenever contest, not the Eurovision I Like Her Name and or Face contest. Consider her 2016 song, and only her 2016 song. Don't put her on a pedestal just because she came second 14 years ago. Be fair to both her and the other contestants. Because it would be kind of unfair to her to say, oh, I liked your other music, I don't much care for this one, but I'll vote for you anyway because you've done other things that I like. Like that. That's kind of a discredit to her efforts here and now, so be fair. So, having said that, what's my score for this one out of 10? Well, musically, theatrically, and vocal-wise, this song is, on paper, 10 out of 10. I don't see why not. That might initially seem like it contrasts horribly with what I was just saying, but consider this. I didn't watch the 2002 contest. I didn't start watching Eurovision until 2007, and even then, once I got into it, I went back and watched as far back as 2004, and then that's it. And even then, I don't know the 2004 contest that well. So, I've never heard any of Ira's other songs apart from Chameleon. I effectively don't know who she is, in essence. And frankly, I don't care who she is. This song stands on its own merits. It's good. It's not heart-stoppingly incredible, and it's not the best thing since sliced bread by any means, but it's well written, well executed, and bound to be well performed when it reaches the stage. It's a lot of things that Eurovision fans want to hear. It ticks a load of boxes and gets a lot of stuff right. Therefore, I can't see any reason to dock it points here and now. That doesn't mean that I think it's the best song of this year by any means, but it's still good. It doesn't do anything explicitly wrong. The only problems that I can find with it are technical issues that either won't be a problem on the night, or if they are, can easily be rectified on the night. Or it's a problem on the part of the fandom, and I can't fix the fandom, but then no one can fix the fandom because the Eurovision fan base got a lot of issues. So how does it compare to last year's song then? In all honesty, Amber's Warrior still impressed me more, and I still enjoyed it much more than I enjoy Walk on Water. However, this song does sound much more like a song from the charts, and Warrior sounded much more like a Eurovision and only Eurovision song. Granted, that doesn't matter too much within the world of the contest, because it's Eurovision, so if it sounds like a Eurovision song, then it's right at home. Granted that I like Warrior more as well, I should say that last year was better, but with the name hype and her adequately modern and powerful sounding song, Ira's more than probably the better Eurovision candidate of the two, honestly, so statistically and academically at the very least it must be an improvement, because, I mean, it's more likely to qualify if nothing else, because Amber was great. She fought and brought her country to 11th place with a really powerful song and nobody knew who she was. People know who Ira is, and people are going to have a load of nostalgia relating to her, and if Amber could come 11th with a song as good as Warrior, then I think a song as good as Walk on Water, plus Ira's name hype, amongst other things, is going to be enough to see it through to the final, but I'll talk about that in just a second. I'll give first a brief word on how it compares to Malta's first song for this year. It's not even worth discussing. This is much better than Chameleon, no questions asked. Walk on Water is much more modern, much less cheesy, and generally makes more sense lyrically. I mean, seriously, what did the title have to do with that song at all? Overall, it's generally much more deserving of the hype that Chameleon got off the back of just being an Ira Losco song. This song fits in with the theme of Eurovision 2016. Chameleon was fine. I think I was a bit too lenient in my original review of it, but Chameleon would have sounded much better, much more at home in the 2006 contest. 10 years later, this fits right in here and now. Walk on Water is definitely better than Chameleon. So will it qualify? Well, given that Chameleon probably would have qualified off the back of Ira's name being attached to it alone, and also given that Amber came 11th with comparatively more powerful song, but with no name hype whatsoever, yes, this will qualify, I don't doubt it. This song is actually good, like I said, and it's technically impressive, and it's generally modern and enjoyable, without sounding any kind of dated or niche. To that end, the public will enjoy it with or without the extra hype attached to it being Eurovision royalty, as will the jury for more or less the same reasons. The only reservation I have in any of this is it was written by Molly Pettersson-Hammar, who has, to my knowledge, participated in Melodifestivalen at least twice, one of which being actually this year, and she's never reached the final of that. The closest she's got is Andra Chansen, which was either both times or just this year. But then again, she didn't have a fan-hyped big name performing her songs, it was just her, so essentially she was the Amber of Melodifestivalen. So, given that it's Ira Losco performing a song written by her, I don't think that will be anywhere near an issue for Malta this year, but that's the only point I could think of that might mean this doesn't qualify. Either that, or, oh, it could be the surprise shock non-qualifier. I highly doubt that this will fail to qualify. This is gonna be in the final, basically. It's got the right name singing it, it's a decent enough song, it'll be in the final. I say that with 99% confidence because it's Eurovision, anything can happen, but I mean, it's gonna qualify, let's face facts. So I will say, good luck to you, Malta, and f*** the haters, you made the right decision by changing the song. So, now that you've got much better odds of doing decently and deserving to do so, I will say, good luck and see you in Sweden.